All right, thank you, Mr. Producer. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back. I have the Susan Goodrich show, which is coming up, and you guys know Susan, terrific guest. She is a transformational life coach and the creator of Solutions, which is soul-u-tions, which is the website too, soul-u-tions.com. And transformational life coaching is what Susan does. Along those lines, she has a 6-month program, which is called Become the Butterfly You Were Meant to Be, and a 6-week group coaching program, Transform Your Inner Enemy. And she got a great topic today. So if you guys have a question, you can always call in at 631-730-7376. She's up there in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada, which in my mind's eye, I picture it being a very, like very serene. But she's described it to me, and I'm sure it's quite beautiful because she has this hot tub outside, where you just get out there in your bathing suit, and then it could be snowing or whatever, but you're in a hot. It just sounds so cool. Anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you that, but or you can use the instant feedback, which is kcinstantfeedback@gmail.com. If you want to write your question in, I will ask Susan, and you can hear your answer from an expert and be a part of the show in that way. So, guys, with no further ado, it is my honor and privilege to bring back to the program Miss Susan Goodrich. Hey, Susan, how's it going today?
Good, Casey. How are things down there in New York City?
Well, if I told you that we were going to get snow, you'd be like, and because that's I'm sure it's nothing up there, right?
Yeah, we've had some pretty crazy cold days. It's not too bad today, but I think it's going to get cold tonight. But talking about the hot tub, you and I could just have a whole conversation on the hot tub.
This sounds awesome. It does. It sounds like so much fun. I mean, I've only seen it in pictures.
Well, that's what I did. I cut out a picture of a hot tub and I stuck it on my wall. And man, it didn't take me long before I bought one. It was
Really?
just so interesting how all the resources came to, they showed up to do that because that's really what I wanted.
Now,
Um,
is that one of those? Is that one of those exercises that you do? Like, if you want something, you'll do something like that. You'll take a picture of it, and does it maintain the passion in your head that you want that thing, and that's why the picture's there?
Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, there's more to that. In fact, I was going to even talking about that, about the transformational coaching process because one of the things that we do is we spend time getting really clear on the vision, but in reality, it's not really just a vision. The vision, that picture was helpful, but
Hmm.
it's like, what does that experience feel like, right? Like, what is it like in your body? It's about connecting with the feeling of what it's going to be like. Like, what's the experience like? Like, I'd already had an experience of being in a hot tub. So for me to be able to put a picture of it on the wall was just a reminder of
Oh,
what that felt like. And
okay.
that was something I wanted to recreate.
Mm. All right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I want to hear about
but
the process. Let's talk about that.
okay. So it's really a co-creative process where we actually work together like a team,
Hmm.
right? So it's not like when you go to therapy and the therapist listens to you and asks you a bunch of questions.
Hmm.
you know, we really like I get involved in it, and I sometimes share my own stories and that's really what that's a piece of that really helps us see that things are possible, right?
Yeah.
Um, but we focus primarily on you, not on me. It's not my agenda, it's yours. And you do need to take responsibility for your part. And I'm just, Casey, how do you feel about that word, responsibility?
I
How does it
believe that's what separates a child from an adult.
Oh, is that how you hear, how you understand it to be?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
a
I
child, you don't really have to have responsibility. Maybe you get grounded or something, but as an adult, different game.
well, Yeah, well, exactly, right. We need to be able to take responsibility as a kid. Even as a kid, you need to start learning to take responsibility.
Right.
But would it really, when I used to kind of really resist it, I did responsibility. What am I going to be? I don't want it. That's just too much work because that's what it felt like. But it's learning to have the ability to respond and versus react to something.
Oh, that's definitely a good way to describe it. I see what you're saying there. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right, because a lot of times we feel like we don't know how to take responsibility for something, right?
Hmm.
And I kind of think of it as being, setting up the environment to do that. Because I don't know if you've ever had a day when you were really stressed and somebody came along and, kind of pushed your button and you didn't respond, you reacted.
Of course. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So it is about the ability to respond. And I think a big piece of what I do in the coaching process is I teach people how to build, as I was writing out earlier, but capacities to make sure that we do have the ability to respond, right? It's about setting up our environment so that, that we have the resources. I was just looking up the word capacities. And it just means like, if you have a bucket, I always think of the camel that broke the
Just,
or
just,
the
just
straw
straw
that
that
broke
broke
the
the camel's
camel's
back.
yeah, the straw that broke the camel's back. I even had to describe this to my kids one day because when they were really little, because they were, so demanding, and I was just an only parent, and and I was like, you know what? I can tell mommy is almost, or the bucket. I am the camel. And if you put one more of those pieces of straw on top of my back, I am going to break,
Hmm. Hmm.
or blow or something. So,
I got it. I know the feeling.
well, and so a big piece about, we go through in the transformational coaching is not just getting really clear on this vision, but about identifying what the gaps are between where we are and where we want to be. Like, how do we create that experience for ourselves, right? And sometimes what happens that, we aren't even the person that we need to be in order to actually have that experience, right? It could even be something like your dream job or a dream business or a dream relationship, whatever it is that you're desiring, right? There's often a gap or several. you know I call them boulders, right, or blocks. Maybe they're the missing pieces. Often they're beliefs and behaviors, right? They're just, and I'll talk about the 90 to 95% stuff in a minute, but
Okay.
those beliefs and behaviors, right, they really control a lot of who we are, right? So these are the things that hold us back from having that experience that you really desire. And so through the coaching process, one of the things we do, of course, is identify what those gaps are. And they could be, like, and you could look at it almost like a career coaching on some level, but it's more than that, right? We can identify maybe it's just some skills that you're missing, right? So maybe you want to be a good cook, you need to have some cooking skills, right?
Yeah.
Or if you need to build a business, which is, one of the programs that I'm building now, is that you need to have skills of organization, you need to have marketing skills, you need to have sales skills, money management, and those are just to name a few of the skills that you need in order to be able to create something like that. And so the other thing that I do is I talked about capacities is I was just kind of was like, oh yeah, one of the things I do is I help you understand how to read your body's cues, right? So we know when it's enough, right? So when I just talked about, the straw is about to
Yeah,
break the
right. On the
camel's
camel's
back,
back, right.
I was able to be really aware that my body was I was literally there, and I was able to learn how to set boundaries and limits for myself and really
Boundaries.
be able to communicate that. Otherwise, I'm just going to let that bucket overflow, or that, the pile of hay land on top of me and
Yeah.
squash me. And who
And
knows how I'm going to come out,
it goes
right?
back to that reacting thing you're talking about, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a lot of us, I certainly didn't grow up knowing that that's, to be really aware of my body and when I had overdone it. and a lot, right? Like we overwork, we overeat, we overdrink, we over anything, right?
Yeah, of course.
And
Excess in moderation.
mhm. Excess in moderation. Yeah, excess in moderation. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's okay to, everything in moderation, as
Right,
they say,
right.
right? Yeah, it's that excess. And when we're able to identify, when it is becoming excessive for us, right?
Hmm.
And one of the skills I like to teach is like, and certainly with the business fundamentals, is that we as humans, right, as the owner of our business, we are the foundation.
Yeah.
And if we don't spend time looking after us and checking in, like, so I like to kind of every hour or so just check in to see, how is my body doing? Am I feeling really stressed? Am I needing to take a break? Am I, because we should always take breaks, right? Like, so that there's a balance, right? It's not necessarily a balance, it's more like a balancing act, right? Right, like, so what needs our attention and what needs it the most, right?
Hmm.
And of course a big piece of that is learning how to, it's a lot about self-care. It's also a capacity for self-compassion, right? Learning how to have great self-compassion. And of course I'll just go right back to my feelings and needs list, because learning how to really listen to ourselves and really learning to acknowledge what we feel, it's a capacity, right? It's something that we need to learn how to do, and I don't think a lot of us are taught that. I
Yeah,
certainly wasn't.
good point. It's true. We're not.
No, we're, probably because our parents didn't know how either, and neither did theirs. Right? So we're here now, evolving the human, right? We're the evolution of the human species as we
Yeah,
learn to do these things,
yeah.
right?
We're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there are processes that we can, that I take people through to help build that, right? And certainly one of the other things that we do is about boundaries, like setting limits, knowing our boundaries, both with ourselves and with others,
That's what
right?
I was gonna
And
ask
our
you. Like, in
limitations.
what sense? Are you talking about with relationships? Are you talking about with work, or pretty much everything? I don't know.
Well,
What
pretty much
boundaries?
everything, but we do, yeah, we do. I do a process. We call them power centers. So, power center one is learning to trust yourself, and it's about the relationship you have with yourself. Power center two is the relationship we have with the divine, like with life. Like where you start to trust that everything is there to support you, right?
Hmm.
That life, and I was writing about this morning, about how life really happens for you, not to you. A lot of us walk around thinking, oh my God, that happened to me. And oh my goodness, I can't, why did that happen to me again? Well, really, it's the universe's way of sort of saying, hey, look over here. You're maybe not going in the right direction. And that happened because we're trying to get you to open your eyes and go in another direction, you know? So that's one of the things that I see, is where we learn, like in that capacity of learning to trust that, and to how to connect with that energy of something that's bigger, and learning how to kind of relax back into that, right?
Hmm.
Rest back into that. The universe has your back. I think there's what's her name, Gabby Bernstein has a book called that. She has written a book about, the universe has your back. I mean, we think, I mean, if you think of God, right, that if that's your belief system, that he's really there to support you, right?
Yeah.
He's really there to support you. Yeah. And so that we know that we feel supported, right? That's a big thing, right? We need to know that we are feeling supported. And oftentimes support from ourselves, but also from something larger than ourselves. And then the third power center that we deal with is the relationships that we have with others. So learning to trust in those other relationships, but in the boundary settings, what we do is we do what is the name of it? It's called Power Partners. It's
Okay.
an exercise, helps us identify who our power partners are, like the people that we can really trust.
That's
And
a
the one
that's a
that we
power partner. That's like, would it be like your husband, wife, mom,
it
dad?
could be, it could be, ideally.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know, unless you're in what my coach calls next level love. I'm not sure that that's really the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, ideally you would want your partner to be your power partner. But
Uh-huh.
it's, like if you're on a spiritual journey and you have, that's where you're going, and your partner is, has a completely different journey in that realm. You may not really be power partners, because if they don't really support you in everything and at least respect everything that you're doing, right? Then I wouldn't really put them in my power partner. They might be in that next level. I had somebody who taught this as the love rings, right? The 5 love rings, right? And the inner one is ourselves. I think I've talked about this before, right? And that that second level is really what we call our power partners, people that we can trust, who are on the same path that we are,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're on
Okay.
the same growth, I'm going to say growth path,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. And then there's people outside of that. But knowing where people fit so that we know what to share with them, right? We're not going to share people that are, maybe in our history circle, they're like our friends from school. If we share something that's really near and dear to us, and something that we're nurturing, and they don't believe in that stuff, and they're going to squash it for you, that's not going to be helpful
Yeah,
too,
that
right?
doesn't
So
seem like
it's,
somebody who's very supportive or has your back.
well, it's just that they are at a different phase in their life. You
Okay.
can still love them, you can still have a relationship with them. It may be just in a different capacity, right? It's
Right.
just a right, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and just learning, like being able to identify those and knowing that can be really empowering. And because that's really what all of these things are. It's really just to help you empower yourself.
Hmm. Okay. Nice. Hey guys, I'm speaking with Susan Goodrich, and Susan, how do people get a hold of you? Because I got to take a short break right here, and I see some instant feedback coming in. But
Okay.
right before the break, how do people get a hold of you, Susan?
Um, they can email me at transformwithsue@gmail.com, or they can go to transformwithsue.com. And in there, there's a link there. They could book a discovery call. I'd be happy to have a conversation with them. If they're interested in knowing more about what I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay, and about those the programs, you said you're working on one for entrepreneurs, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Having how to have more fun in your business.
All right, I like that. All right, so you'll tell us as that comes together. You'll let us know what's up with that. But you still got the become the butterfly you were meant to be, right?
Yes, and it's really actually the foundation for the business fundamentals.
Oh, so you take this
It's just,
first. Okay.
yeah. Well, I mean, you can. It's really it's kind of very much the same structure.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the business fundamentals, we can focus specifically on business, elements, rather than, maybe it's a relationship or the business as a whole, or whatever it is that you're trying to do at that moment.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Understood. So, guys, we'll be right back on the Susan Goodrich Show. Stay right there.
Are you at a time in your life where you feel pulled to do something bigger and you don't know what it is, or you don't know what the next steps are, or maybe you're afraid to take those next steps? Hi, I'm Susan with Solutions, and I'm inviting you to join the upcoming where I will be talking about the transformational process to go from the caterpillar that you are to the butterfly that you were meant to be. I hope that you will join me to identify your next steps. You can also reach me at transformwithsue@gmail.com.
Bring me back on the Susan Goodrich Show. Welcome back, Miss Susan.
Hello.
All right. So, you want to talk to some of the audience here that has some questions for you?
Sure.
All right. You got Henry in New York. I found myself dreading going to work in the morning. I've even fallen asleep a few times. How do I make myself more excited about daily life? Henry, I'm with you sometimes, buddy.
Well, yeah, we don't want you falling asleep on the highway, that's for sure. Um, no, Henry, don't do that. Um, so one of the things that I know is that, if we're doing a job that's not, if it's not really who we're designed for, maybe it's time to look at a different one, because, if that job doesn't excite you, then it's probably not something that your soul is really calling you for. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was going to talk a little bit about how you know, jumping into careers where we spend lives doing things that, right, that don't, you know, that don't fire us up. We want to be able to do something that does light us up. I would look at who are your role models? What are the qualities that you have that you really want to bring to your job? Maybe you do have some of those and you just need to bring those to your job. That's the other thing I was thinking of. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that would work. But by all means, give me a call. I just be, send me an email at transformwithsue.com and I'd have a deeper conversation with you about that.
All right. Thanks, Henry. So can we jump back into about the process, Susan?
Sure. Yeah. So, and I love that Henry came in with that one.
Mm.
Because like I said, we want it to, whatever we're doing, we want it to light us up. We don't want
Yeah.
to have it feel like work,
Right.
because there is a myth, right, that says we need to work hard to manifest. And I want to let you know that that's the furthest thing from the truth. In coaching, we actually spend time identifying your unique set of qualities. And these are things that, and the other things that we do is that we identify who your role models are. And that's what I was just mentioning to Henry, because for many of us, right, we can struggle with identifying what those like who our role models are, especially for women. We often have a belief that others are better than us. You might find yourself actually feeling jealous or envious of others.
Uh-huh.
You know what? That's okay. That's okay. It's a sign that these are people that possess the qualities that you actually desire to have in your own life.
Right.
And it's okay. Just take a look at them, right? Because they're signals. That's really your body. Like when you're having like a jealous reaction, that's your body saying to you, hey, wake up. This is something that you really want, that your soul really wants to have, right? This is something that you desire, right? And what we can do is take a look at those, because often they're actually desires or they're qualities that are actually in you. They may just not yet be developed, right? They may not be fully developed. And when we can bring them into the light, then we can start to embrace them, and these will start to enrich your life, right? And they'll help you manifest, right? And bring you into, help you to see how magnificent you actually really are.
Oh.
So this is a part, yeah. So it's a piece of the puzzle of how to step into your own power from your authentic soul place, not an inflated ego, right? From a place of authenticity, because then we can really claim that that's who we are, right? It's not about, oh yeah, I'm better
Right.
than this
I'm
person. It's
I'm
not that.
terrific. I'm blah blah blah. Like
Yeah,
the false
no,
sense.
you're right. A false. It's from the true, really authentic soul place where your body actually literally resonates at a different level, right? You can feel it viscerally in your body, right? Yeah, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Susan Goodrich, everybody, transformational life coach. She's been sharing with us a little bit about the process. Susan, let me give you the last word here. Anything you want to add to a very interesting program today? And I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody who wrote in, but I thank you very much, and I will keep them. So maybe we'll get to you at a further show. But Susan, let me give you the last word here.
Okay. I just want to make sure that everybody is really on a growth path. I think it's really important to do that. And I have a quote here. It says, whatever makes you uncomfortable, which I was just talking about, right,
Mm-hmm.
is your biggest opportunity for growth. And that's by Bryant McGill that I just cut off the internet here. But it's true. Whatever makes you feel uncomfortable, just know that that's a place that your soul is just saying, hey, wake up over here, pay attention. There's something here for you, right? And that's where you're ready to grow. And that's really what transformational coaching is about, is helping you grow into that next best version of who you are.
Nice. I like that quote. That's good too. Hey, Susan, once again, tell people how to get a hold of you. And thanks again for another great show.
Thank you. You can email me at transformwithsue@gmail.com or www.transformwithsue.com.
All right.